Okay, today in this video, it's to say what's coming up ahead on my channel. Now, you know my channel's unique. It's one of a kind. And often people ask a lot of things, and often people say a lot of things. One person asked me, sort of, well, he worded it differently, but what's inspired me to do things? Or what gives me, like an idea? Believe it or not, and I said that many times in my videos, 90% of the time is unscripted. Now imagine that. How do I do something like that, or how? Well, remember some of my videos, I always said, and I stated clearly, and I'll do it on this video, there's this hand, there's this invisible hand, and yes, I am grateful for that invisible hand. That hand guides me every single step of the way. And it's very funny. That hand, sometimes people call it God. Sometimes people call it Buddha. Sometimes people call it Jesus. Sometimes people call it Allah. Sometimes they call whatever. And to be honestly, I didn't see that hand, that special hand, until later on in life. And of course right now, here's another video talking about it. And sometimes you will hear me say things like, it's an it, it's a he, it's a she, it's a whatever. For me, and no disrespect to other people's religions or beliefs, for me, I see this beautiful hand. And sometimes during my turmoil, I cuss at it, yell at it, scream at it, call all sorts of names, blah 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 blah. But see, when I do that, it springs into what I call existence. And sometimes it's not a good scene. Sometimes it's normal stuff, that you go through life and you go through your daily stuff. There's tears involved and happiness involved and happy tears, you can say. So I have this helping hand. And yes, I am grateful for it every day, every moment, and every single second of it. And when someone say certain things like that, I usually, tell that little story. But anyway, this video, though, it's about what's coming up next. And as you already seen, one was my Wonder bracelets, and then this coming weeks and months and stuff, I'm going to teach you about my Wonder tent. And after that, you're going to wonder, what is next? Well, that's what this paper's for. It's called the Wonder Rays. And what does it do? Well, it does pretty much the same thing like here. I have this piece of paper right here. It does the same thing as much as right here. But this time, it's not about our body, but it's going to be our room or living space. As you may have noticed, that I talked about how we are being bombarded every single second, every single milli of a second. We breathe it, we absorb it, we do everything there is there. So, I'm going to show you a sneak peek. Yes, this is a sneak peek. And someone said, in my last video, a teaser. No, it is not a teaser. Bringing people to good health is not teasing. Wouldn't you say? One of my last video, the guy said, or he, she, whatever, saying that I'm teasing. Imagine. I'm teaching people how to save money. I'm teaching how to people to prepare. It's a teaser. But anyway, you can see that. You can read that if you're curious. How I reply. Anyway, so now, after the 1 to 10, it's called the Wonder Ray. Okay. What does it do? Well, imagine you are in the room. This is your room. And you know we are being bombarded every single second, every single milli of a second, especially from the sun. The sun during the day. Even though these walls are here, believe it or not, radiation will pass right through it. And that's how we are able to be alive. Okay? Because we absorb them. But this is really low. And that's why, here's somebody again, saying that I tell people to be in direct sunlight. Well, let me explain something. You can do both. The only thing that you cannot is that the ultra V light, UV light, okay? I'm just gonna say UV. That's what we don't want. So, for the people who was allergic to it or don't want to be in the sun, they can put a shade on, or they can be under a tree. And still able to get something called radiation. Okay? Now, let's get out of that one out of the way. Now, these radiation, I stated many times, it goes into what is known as decay. From 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's where it goes into a decay. So when these rays passes through your room or your house or whatever, because it's radiation, it will radiate right through. That's why they call it radiation, and there's a word radiate. These particles, just like here, these particles would linger. I use this word a lot. When it dies, it splits into these little tiny things. One, it attacks our body and it absorbs, it tries to absorb our body. Two, we breathe in it. Remember that? I always said, we breathe and we absorb. These things linger all around. Okay? With the help of 1 to 10, you'll be able to block them. But here's the thing. What if I invented something to remove them? That's what I call the Wonder Ray. So, with the Wonder Bracelet comes the Wonder Tent that's coming. After that, this is a sneak peek of the Wonder Ray. What does the Wonder Ray do? Well, it kind of steal it. So now you have less particles. And yes, each day it's like that. So you have to turn on and off in order to zap these. So you can remove them. There's nothing like that in human history that can remove them. The Wonder Ray can. Okay, so that's a sneak peek to that. Just in case you're wondering what it's gonna be coming after that. Honestly, this will be my third release. So 1, we got the Wonder Bracelet. 2, we got the tent. I'm just gonna put a coil here. We're gonna get the tent. And now, 3rd, we're gonna get the Wonder Ray. Funny, huh? Funny symbol. I'm inventing new alphabetical order or something here. Nah. So, in case you're wondering what these things, remember, we have to remove not only out of our body, we have to remove what we breathe in at night. That's the Wonder Tent. Then we have to remove it out of our environment. That's the Wonder Ray. Okay? So, before I go, where do I get these inspirations? I don't know where it comes from either. Or either. For the longest time, many years, there's a lot of things that come out of me that I don't know where it comes from. All I can say is this helping hand. And yes, I am grateful for it, every milliseconds of it. And it guides me a certain way. I don't know if it's a he. I don't know if it's a she. I don't know if it's an it. That I do not know. Now imagine, I talked a lot about stuff and how things work and everything. I know a lot of stuff. But that I don't know. And I don't think I hope the day until the day I die I'll be able to see it. But, you know, I guess I'm going to have to die to see it. Dying to see it. Ha ha. Anyway. So, that's what guides me. That's what gives me ideas. That's what gave me all these. Like 1, 2, and 3. And because of that, there's a lot of things that come out of this. Because you have to explain how things work and during the way and blah, 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 so people can understand. Although these takes me seconds to understand. It may take someone days. It might take someone years. And some people would never hear. Some people would never able to get this. Why? Because they're too busy attacking rather than try to understand. And you don't want me to label those people. Start with a B and then another one with a C. That's all I'm going to say. So, you can look in the dictionary. You'll find those 2 words. Anyway. So that's what it is. So that next one, after the Wonder Tent, it will be the Wonder Ray. And then after that, I do not know. I don't even know how long it's going to take me to make videos of the Wonder Tent. And then after that, I'm going to have to introduce the world to the Wonder Rays. And then after that, that's when I do not know. Okay? So I hope it explained a few things, and I hope it gives you hope, but also something to look forward to. Because there's a lot of going on here to present this to the world. Just imagine, just this right here is very hard for people to understand because they're too busy attacking rather than learning. But here's the good part. Follow my path. Follow the way to understand these. And I promise, and I've done many times in videos, I promise, I will lead you to a better life, and I will lead you to a better health. I will lead you to a word, and we're going to separate that word, and it's going to be on your screen right now. Dis and ease. We're going to separate that. We're going to stay with the ease, but we're not going to deal with the dis. See it? Like I stated in one of my videos long ago, which I label private now, and I stated clearly, I cannot lead you or try to or help you to cheat death, but I can ease your suffering so you can have a better life, happier life, and grow old without suffering. Okay? That's all I can do. And most importantly, it's going to be all free. Okay? Other than that, that's about it on this video. I will see you in the next video.